Over the past 25 years, LEGO Star Wars has made dozens of incredibly niche sets. Some so niche that they literally don't exist in the Star Wars universe. LEGO Star Wars simply made them up. Now, in the LEGO Star Wars fandom, there seems to be one build above all else that fans really want. And it's really niche, but it should still be made. And in my opinion, that would be DEX'S Diner. And so with that fan demand in mind, Republic Bricks reached out to sponsor this video and sent me their custom DEX'S Diner build for free to review. We're gonna find out if it's any good today. It's 1,035 pieces for $160 on their website, but if you use the code DEX, you can get it down to $145. And with the price in mind, I wanted to give you a quick size comparison from the DEX'S Diner to a $100 LEGO Star Wars diorama. Obviously the difference is with the official set, you'd be getting a few minifigures and it's all new parts versus a Republic Bricks set, which is not gonna be all new parts. You're definitely going to have used parts in there, but that's part of how the cost can be so relatively low for a custom set. Now moving into a lot of the small details on the model, it looks beautiful on this front facade. It's going to display very nicely if you end up picking one up. I certainly am going to enjoy displaying this in my collection. Now it's not without flaw though. It really should be a little bit longer and have another window here. Like it's supposed to be 1, 2, and 3 windows and then the curved window. So just something worth noting, but honestly I don't see that as any type of deal breaker because this front side looks so beautiful, and I didn't know it was missing a window until I looked up the picture to see what was accurate and what wasn't. I really love the dark gray beams and the shaping of the windows on the front of the diner. I think those just really sell the design on this thing. Now, one thing that was really hard, I think, for the designer to get right was probably these curved windows, because you need a similar look to this, but it has to be done in a completely different way as you curve around the edge of the building. And I can only imagine how challenging that would be to design, but they even placed a like clear window panel in there. So it's really down pat as far as the design goes on this front side. It looks quite gorgeous. And then we have another small window on the side. As far as the top of the model is concerned, there was not a lot of detail to capture, but they got the small bits that were on the top of DEX'S Diner. And then even on the side of this large red piece here, looks really nice. Really love the way it was done, and it adds a nice bit of color to the top of the diner. Now, as beautiful as the exterior was, the set also has an entire interior. You can literally stick your hand in if you want, but you can also pull this entire top panel off. Now, the set is obviously a custom set, and so some pieces aren't going to be like 100% the strongest thing. Like this whole thing is pretty strong, works pretty well, but I have found that like these little pieces on the side, they'll fall off pretty easily. But like, again, it's a custom display set, so like I don't see that as a major flaw at all. There's certainly a few loose parts here and you could snap them off if you really tried. However, I think to get such a beautiful look, it's worth not having 1,000% stability rating. Like I just don't mind it at all on a custom set. I think that's fine. It's within a reasonable level of expectation of stable, but it still could theoretically break. You should just know it, it's a review, but honestly, as a reviewer, I don't care about that in particular with a custom set. Let's talk about the interior. Now, when it comes to the details on the interior, we're gonna start with my biggest nitpick, and that's that the bar should really be on a back wall. Now, obviously, just the way this set was designed, it was designed to be completely open, easy to access, and if you add a back wall and flip the bar around, it completely ruins that. So I appreciate it as far as like a flow of how you would use it type of thing, but as far as accuracy goes, technically it should be on the back wall, but that is a complete nitpick. Now, the design of the bar, I love the way the top has these stripes on it. The bar stools are really beautiful. Now, in the instructions, I remember it actually had a piece without a hole on the top, but I think that piece was like prohibitively expensive or impossible to get, so it ends up being this tile with the stud open. I don't think it looks horrible, and certainly if we take a figure and sit them on it, it wouldn't be a problem. You'd never even know it's the other piece. Although I would say the figures, when placed on there, look a little bit awkward because of how high they sit. That's just an issue with scaling in LEGO universe. It's just hard to get right. But as far as the design goes for a display thing, I think that looks awesome. I just think it doesn't look as awesome when you put a figure on there. So a little bit of a downside to having figures in play, but again, it's something that the way I would display it, I wouldn't display it with figures, so I don't see it as a huge downside. Maybe you can use that as a table, I don't know. On the back counter of the bar, it looks like we've got a bunch of bottles and taps so you can fill up some drinks, and then there is ample space to place a bartender if you wish. And I think the bartender actually fits in a lot nicer than the patrons fit on the chair. So I think having a bartender on there is actually pretty sick looking. When it comes to the rest of the space in the diner, we've got this large open floor space. I love the tile here, just kind of breaks it up, makes it look a little bit prettier. We also have the doorway, which you can easily fit a figure like Obi-Wan into as he walks in looking for the DEX minifigure that doesn't exist. And then if we look over here, we can actually fit figures into the booths, which is amazing. I love that. Like, it's such a nice design, and they actually fit in super nicely. honestly. Like DEX'S, if a figure existed, probably would not fit in this particular custom model, but the actual regular size Lego minifigures totally fit in there, and that's just frankly awesome. I was not sure if that was going to work or not when I got this build, but it definitely does. And so overall, the only issue I see is kind of the figure scaling on the bar stool. Everything else fits in super nicely. You fit figures through the doorway into the booths, but on the bar stool, it just looks slightly awkward. So that's the only issue I really have with this build. Otherwise, it's just a really nice display set, and oh man, it actually looks really cool with the figures inside. Ahsoka fell off. I was gonna say that I would totally display this without figures, but honestly, like with figures in there, can you see them through? Oh, you can see them through. The figures actually look really cool in those windows. I don't know why I didn't think they would look as cool as they do, but they look dope. You just see them conversing at the booth, and they also got that neon sign detail in that window, so that's pretty dope, man. That's incredible stuff. So lastly, before I reattach the roof here, I just want to show the connection point of 3 studs on each side of the curved part of the diner that are going to hold your roof on. So you just place it down like so, and there are times where this little red piece can kind of get in the way and stop this from going down, but it's not always going to be a problem. And again, as a mostly display set, I don't see it as a major inconvenience. You sometimes just have to push these back in or push them out of the way, depending on where you're trying to place this. So when it comes down to it, when you use code DEX, you're getting this for $145. And I do wish it had a figure. I wish it had a custom DEX figure, and I wish it had a custom bartender droid. Like, those things would have been amazing. They also would have added a lot of cost, so there's a big drawback there. But also, those are not like easily readily available in the customs market, so I think that would have been something amazing for Republic Bricks to have been able to broaden into a set like this, even if it would have bumped the price up to like $200. Like, I'm sure a custom DEX would not be cheap to make at all, but it would have been an amazing thing to maybe push us over the top for some people. So I could definitely see that as a want, but it also would add a lot of cost. As far as just an amazing display set, I think this set really has it down. It looks beautiful. The facade is wonderful. Like, I love the way this looks. They've had quite a few good looking sets come out recently, and this is definitely another one from Republic Bricks. I just think this looks gorgeous overall. At the end of the day, whether or not this build is worth $145 is totally a beauty is in the eye of the beholder situation. Personally, I see the value here. I think for $145 in the customs market, this is pretty worth it. Of course, if LEGO were to make something like this, maybe it's not quite worth it, although we did show a official $100 set, and it was seemingly a bit smaller. So there's definitely some give and take there depending on the set, depending on the pieces produced, and depending on the figures included. Obviously, this one doesn't include any figures. We had to bring our own, but of course, kind of bringing your own is cool. So we did a little clone pilot bar rescue type of thing. So I think it's pretty clear that I really like this build from Republic Bricks. It's one of those things that I just don't see LEGO doing this scale of a DEX'S diner ever. Anything's possible, but it's just been so long and they haven't done or said anything about it. So I think this is a really good option if you're into customs to go and get a really cool looking DEX'S diner that's going to look amazing on display. Even though this does have some used parts, and that's certainly a con, the price I think is fair for what we have here. So let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. You can check out republicbricks.com with the link in the description below. And again, code DEX will get this down to $145. And you can check out more custom LEGO Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.